everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little different, kind of like a podcast, really, around what it's like to work at a data center. And the reason I'm doing this is because, yes, more and more companies are moving out of their data center into the cloud, but that doesn't mean your servers are sitting in the cloud. No, they're just hosted in somebody else's data center. Therefore, I feel that my experience might be interesting or somewhat useful for anyone who is listening to this. So, I've worked at quite a few data centers actually, and so many different comms rooms, but that's a story for another day. So, I've worked at a lot of data centers across the UK and Ireland over the course of 2 years. And it's been quite an experience, and I'd love to share that experience with you. So, I'm going to start off by explaining the journey to the data center. Actually, that's a lie. I'm going to start off by explaining the prereqs but so basically the steps required before you can actually visit a data center. And the first time I actually visited a data center was literally for a visit. So I'm going to explain what it's like when you actually go to a data center on your own for the first time to perform some actual work. So typically, when you visit a data center to perform more work, a series of tasks. It's normally related to a particular budget, a particular project, and you'd be working in a team. Maybe you're all from the same company, or maybe some of you are from a different company, and that project has a project manager, and normally the project manager carries out these tasks. And what are those tasks? Well, depending on the company, usually they have their own kind of internal procedure for when someone visits a data center. So that means they have to fill out a form, and in that form, they need to fill in details such as why, who is visiting the data center, why are they visiting the data center, what project is this related to, what tasks will they be performing, what servers will they need to access, and what time of the day they will need to perform this change, and a whole load of other things. And that normally goes through what's known as a change request, aka a CR. And you plug in all of these details into what might be their intranet, their online form, and then it goes away to a series of people in the company for them to approve this change request, which involves you going into their data center to perform a change. And that change doesn't necessarily mean you you have to perform a change on a particular server. It could be that you're going to a data center to carry out a discovery of servers that you may need to perform a change to later on in your project. So anyway, once this all gets filled in and approved, then you're ready to go and visit that particular data center. So the next, pretty obvious, they give you an address for the data center. And sometimes, if they're kind, they also give you the phone number of the local taxi company that knows where this particular data center is according to the address. And the reason why is because when sometimes, and it depends on the actual company, but they don't want to advertise this data center on the internet. So they'll give you an address, and nowadays we go on the internet and we kind of want to see what this particular place looks like on Google Maps. So we type that in, and you get presented a nice image of what this building actually looks like, so you don't feel so overwhelmed and not prepared. um, when you get there. But the thing is, when you do this for data centers, most of the time, it's a picture of a bush or a tree or a roundabout. And it can be frustrating, but also at the same time, it's perfectly understandable because they don't want people to know where their goods are, you know. So, if you're lucky, or if they don't give this to you, ask for it. Ask for the local taxi company and don't rely on Uber, because it might be that the Uber driver also doesn't know where he's going, and so you both will be wasting time trying to find the place when you have a change to complete within a particular time window. My first experience of going to a data center on my own was really, really interesting, because the taxi driver who picked me up said, "Oh, I've never taken a lady to this data center before, to this place. I've only ever taken middle-aged men." And I was like, "Okay, that's women in tech." And then, but the strange and the taxi driver was a cool guy. I saw the funny element of it, but it can be quite like, seriously, why would you say this? Because when I got out of the taxi, he said, "Make sure they let you out, you know? Don't let them trap you in there. Make sure they let you out." I mean, come on, why would you say this to someone? Why? I mean, obviously it's a joke, but hey, where did this joke come from? Anyway, I was like, "Okay, nice to meet you. Goodbye. Hope I don't see you again." Kidding. So anyway, when I got to the actual uh, data center, you are presented with a nice, terrifying looking gate, which you can't get into. I mean, it looks like a prison, literally looks like a prison. And again, it makes sense because of security. You don't want any old Tom, Dick, and Harry to get inside. So when you get to the first gate, you have to ring the buzzer, and then you show them your ID, and you tell them who you are and who you work for, and you present to them the change request number that is generated by their internal tool when you create a change request. And they will know about that number, that change request number, because they would have had to approve the change request for you to be able to visit the data center in the first place. So once you get through the first gate, you then have to walk quite a bit to get to the second gate, in which you have to wait there for a while, and then you get to the third gate. So after the pilgrimage is finished, you eventually get to the reception, and you're presented with the security guard. And the security guard, again, you have to go through the questions: who are you, why are you here, blah, blah, blah. And then he presents you with this generic training manual. And it's so awkward because he's watching you reading the training manual to ensure that you're actually reading it. And of course, come on, I've read quite a few of these actually at different data centers, but they always make you read it for the first time. And it's the same stuff, and let's be real, no one's really reading it, but I mean, come on, there's about 50 pages worth of content there. But yeah, you stand there, you read it, pretend. I'm joking, am I? And then he watches you, and then it's like, "Oh, well done. Now you can get inside." And then he gives you a bunch of IDs, depending on which room you are planning to access, and um, then he gives you a deck phone. And the reason why you are given a deck phone, well, you may not need the deck phone. But if you plan to make phone calls, well, then you're going to have to use a deck phone. And the reason why is because they don't allow you to take your own phone, which again makes sense. You could be taking pictures and, they don't know what you're saying on the phone. And I just find it really interesting because, well, when you get into the data center and you use the deck phone, it's kind of, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So eventually you get to one of the rooms. Maybe you just need to access one room, um, and you go you go in using your ID card. So when you get in, it's not, well, it depends on the data center, but some of them don't have typical rooms, typical doors. Sometimes the doors look like this, um, pretty much like it's a capsule. And oh my gosh, so many times I have got stuck in that capsule, and I've known other people that have also got stuck in that capsule. And when you're doing a change in the middle of the night and there's less people in the DC, and you're just there stuck waving at the camera, like, dude, are you awake? Wake up. I'm stuck in this capsule. I need to get out. And sometimes they don't respond, but eventually they do. And yeah. Okay, so what is it like when you eventually get inside? So, first of all, it's very loud. I think the first thing that you would be hit with is the noise. And actually, before you go into the room, there are vending machines which give out earplugs. And if you're in there for a long time, it would make sense to use the earplugs because it can be quite frustrating, although some people find it therapeutic. But this is literally what it sounds like. So it's, yes, very, very noisy. And so when you want to take a phone call in the DC, you would be shouting and you will be like, "What? What did you say? Can you speak louder?" And then you just realize it's better to just leave the room and come back in. It's also very, very cold. And again, it makes sense because you don't want those servers to overheat. So there's a lot of air conditioning, and if you're a lady and you're wearing a skirt, no matter how long your skirt is, you'll be doing a Marilyn Monroe. So you might want to rethink what you wear. Wear a jumper. Really, wear a jumper. It's very cold in there. Um, so it's, yeah, noisy, it's cold, and it's also dark, but that's because they have, for energy saving reasons, is there's and also you don't want to again overheat the servers. They have light sensors. So if you're sitting in a particular area with a particular server and you're there for a long time, maybe you're doing a failover test, then there may be times where you need to move your arm around so that you're not sitting in the dark, unless you like sitting in the dark, which I do. Um, what are the servers like next? Okay, so when you go in, the servers are not just randomly placed. They are stored in what's known as a cabinet, and these cabinets are essentially aligned. Sorry, these cabinets are lined up one after the other in a row, and uh, row after row after row looks like this. And they are labeled, the servers are labeled, the cabinets are labeled, and it's really easy to navigate between the the different cabinets if you are trying to find a particular server because they're all labeled. And yeah, unless they are old legacy machines, servers like mainframe, you'd normally find them, IBM mainframe, you'll find them just sitting randomly on its own. So the last topic that I actually wanted to cover is what it's like for a woman to work at a data center. So to visit a data center to perform work, whether you're working in-house or whether you are working for a consulting company. Now, obviously, it depends on the location, the people in that area, the people that work there. But for me personally, the experience that I had working at the data centers on my journey were filled with really amazing people. Yes, the ratio was one to. There's not many people that work at a data center, by the way, but yes, everyone that worked at the data center, in my experience, were men. Um, and when I mean the people working there, I'm talking about the ones that actually work at the data center, as in work on the servers, um, work on work in the actual rooms where the servers are performing DC work itself. Um, and yeah, I mean, I've had some funny moments where, for example, I'd go into the washroom and it looked like a spa. I mean, there was hairspray, there was different types of hand lotion and perfumes, and I was thinking, yeah, hmm, I think there's just one person, one woman who is working here, and I remember coming out of that washroom after having that thought in my head, and I was presented by a lady who literally looked like she nearly had a heart attack. She screamed, and naturally I gasped because I was freaking out, like, what is happening? And the lady was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just that I've never, I've, I've never seen a woman come out of this washroom." And I was like, wow, really? Do you mean hardly ever or never? Like, surely you must have seen at least one person come out of this washroom. Um, but but her reaction was just quite shocking. But the thing is, it depends. If you want to work in a DC, go for it. Don't work in a DC because someone told you work in a DC because you're a woman, we don't have women. Work there because that's actually what you want to do. And if it is what you want to do, go for it. I mean, honestly, the experience that I had working at DC was empowering. It was so fun. And the people that I worked with there, that I interacted with there were so nice, so respectful. And, I think mainly it's because I know that they're getting paid a lot, especially if you work overtime in house at a DC, you get paid a lot. But they were really cool people, family people. Some of them didn't have a family, but they were cool. Not that you can't be cool if you don't have a family. Not sure why I said that, but the point is, I just felt comfortable, felt like I could just go there, do my work, and go home. And I had a lot of fun. Obviously, you can tell that you are uh, either the only woman in the room or one of the very few, because it is a data center, it's a different line of work. Um, and that I understand that there are not a lot of, like, as in I can see that there are not a lot of women there. It would be cool if there were, but that's a lady's choice. Um, but yeah, I could see that I was the only girl, but it didn't impact me because in my experience, I'm not saying my experience is the same for everyone else, um, but in my experience, I've had a great time working at the data center and over the course of 2 years, and I've really enjoyed it. Okay, that is enough rambling from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If not, I'm sorry. There is a whole bunch of other videos out there on YouTube. But if you did, hey, do help a girl out and like this video, leave your comments down below, and please don't forget to subscribe. Um, and hopefully I could do another video in the future around what it's like to work at a comms room, because I've been to so many that honestly I wish I counted how many I have been to, but now it's just a blur. Anyway, like I said, hope you enjoyed this and have a great day. Bye.